ברוך אתה אדוני מלך העולם שהכל נהיה בדברו.
Amen.
לחיים, חיים וברכה. Okay. Welcome, folks. Anila Doidi V'Doidi Lee. I'm to my beloved is to me. We're talking about the two paths that are necessary for the two components of our being. We have a soul, but its tendency is to remove itself from this world. That's its nature. So you see, soulful people are not so much, you don't sense their engagement in a physical world so much, their removal from it. And then you have the body, which is very self-directed, self-absorbed, directed downwards to materiality. The soul isn't seeking survival. The soul is seeking connection and seeking seeking Chaim. Yes. I need a wake-up call. Seeking a connection that's beyond itself. And therefore wants to remove itself from the material world, from the physical body. Doesn't want to be contained by it. The body is survival. Well, survival, I gotta be. And I gotta be more. The more I am, the more I survive. Right? The more things I have, the more I feel that I survive. Right? That's looking downwards, not upwards. So ultimately, there are different types of mixture, combination between body and souls of people. We have those who are very lofty and beyond, and their body is also very refined. Like I said yesterday, my body brings me to teach, not my soul. Not my soul. Because it's, part of, so that's not what we call avodah. That's not real work. That's not going against my nature. It's within my nature. You have some people who, so in other words, the body's kind of doing on its own. Then you have some people who the body is very coarse and the soul can't talk to it, right? Meaning the body isn't listening because it's different worlds. They don't what's the word? doesn't talk to the body. It doesn't see the value, the goodness, what's worthwhile in, in divine service and working hard and in overcoming your nature. And then so the soul can't affect it. Also not good. So it's the best thing is to have a body and soul that are not so far apart from each other. Not a lofty soul and a low body that you can't that there's no much of a conversation between them, right? Or an effect, or not such a lofty soul and a refined body, because then um, the body is, because of its refinement. And we're talking about, but what our natural way is, right? The autopilot. We see that in temperament, nature of people. Just because someone is naturally good doesn't mean that they're engaged in any kind of avodah or tshuva. And naturally good, so they stay there. And there isn't movement. There isn't growth. So the bottom line is that the soul should inspire, influence, affect the body, that there should be a change. Meaning, what does that mean? We've all had experiences where we felt uplifted and we felt a soulful connection. The problem with that is if it doesn't translate into any change, that means there wasn't a conversation or there wasn't a connection with the body. It was just the experience, right? And it was tantalizing in the moment. And that's what the soul wants. It wants that experience. But to translate that experience, I'm talking about a lofty experience, learning could be. But it doesn't come to something that is tangible in in your actions, which your actions take place with your body, right? The experience takes place in your soul, the spiritual experience. I don't mean experience of eating a sweet apple, right? The the wholesome spiritual, even godly experience, right? So the fact that it's there and it doesn't translate into the soul affecting the body and making some kind of change, so then we missed the point. Then we became, it doesn't say in the mimer over here, but like Nadav and Avihu, right, who went into the Holy of Holies and their souls left them because it was such an awesome divine experience, rather than translating into something that was, to affect the body in the physical world, that that they weren't looking for that. And that's a problem, right? So general divine service, and also the avodah of tshuva, the service of tshuva, penitence. Um, Even though tshuva, means to get out of the space you're in, so it's sort of an idea of removal, right? Nonetheless, it has to be in a manner that is connected to the physical, material being, your being, and the world. In other words, when you think about it, meditate on it, right? Tshuva is a is in a manner that you feel that the material world, especially those things that are obstacles in the material world, right, which prevent you from fulfillment of Torah mitzvahs, is not enough. Yeah, that which is preventing you. Now, we all have things that are a challenge for us, preventing us from the fulfillment of Torah mitzvahs. So rather than run from that negativity, right? Um, affect the material reality, that it should not be that obstacle for you. Right? When the Jews were in Egypt, they were in a bad space. They had to run from it. Spiritually, they're in a bad space. Bad. They had to run. Right? That's why the dough didn't rise. Eat matzah as a result. Because we had to leave quickly. So here we're saying we're living in a different times before Mashiach, and instead of running from the negativity, from the evil, affect it. That which is the obstacle, deal with it. Hmm. Just pondering that notion and what that means, perhaps. It's in a very general terms that Rebbe is using here. Need to think of what would be a good example to this. Well, let's just take material wealth, right? So in the past, those who are real servants of Hashem would run away from material wealth because it obstructs. So you have the Alter Rebbe's Chassid, Rabbi Yekusiel Leffler, when he was offered by the Alter Rebbe great wealth, he said he didn't want it because it will be an obstruction to serving Hashem. It'll create more of a challenge than anything. So that was then, but in this Maimer, no. See that the great wealth, which wealth in general is an obstacle to serving God. And the proof is that throughout the generations, the more people had affluence, the more they didn't need God. And they left their faith. They left Torah mitzvahs. So here, the Rebbe is saying, see that challenge. And instead of running from it, engage in the material world in a manner that it should not become an obstacle. So that the wealth, right? So, in other words, the soul doesn't care about wealth. It wants to run away from it, right? Maybe it's a good example. It wants to run away from it. The body, of course, wants wealth because it's security, right? It's survival, right? So the soul sees it as a obstacle. So it runs from it. So Rebbe is saying, no, don't run from it. But affect it, that the material itself should not be an obstacle. Not because not because you are running from it, so to speak. No, you're engaged into making it a part of your service of Torah mitzvahs. And today, this is so apropos. 100 years ago, it wasn't. Poverty was the norm. Today, poverty means you have an iPhone. And yet, you're impoverished. That's not impoverished. The unprecedented wealth that we have today, no comparison, even to 50 years ago. Unbelievable. So the spiritual person who's not going to be interested in material things, well, no, that's the point. Not that you're interested in the material things, you're affecting the material things, right? That it should be then in line with a divine purpose. And you see so much wealth in young people today, in the Chabad, community. You never had young people as wealthy as they are, because people can make money so much quicker today than ever before. You can lose it too, but and what's happening is that it's the amount of tzedakah that's being given, charity, is unreal. So, just finally, that this is also that when you feel the goodness of godliness, the goodness of godliness should be felt even in our material world, not just in spirit. And that is that you've got a beautiful, nice home, nice things, and all of it is only so you could connect to Hashem. And in order that tshuva should be appropriate, is not that you feel the experience in your soul, but also that the material world should also sense the godliness. That's a good combination between body and soul. Okay. Need to think more about that because it's pretty awesome idea. All right, we'll see you shortly.